What's up, everybody? Primal coming at you tonight, asking this question: who's your president? A lot of talk about presidents the last couple of years. He ain't my president. He's my president. I don't even want to think about that. I ain't calling him. Well, I got some news for you. Tonight, we talk to my president. I love this brother, and it's so good to be with you tonight. Primal coming at you from our deep, close to the Earth's core, worldwide headquarters of Primal Faith. We'll be right back. Hit it! What's up, everybody? Coming at you live from my evil lair, Primal Faith Incorporated, with my man, my boss, my president from down here in Florida, my good friend Wes. What's up, Big Daddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. It is a pleasure to see you.
It is. I know. We live a little further apart, but we don't get to see one another too much. But yeah, man.
Seems like we're always communicating, though.
Oh, yeah. On the phone, you're like, the number one speed dial for emergencies and disasters. It's right there.
So the other night, Punch put his number up on the page, and I thought about just putting 911 up. Everybody knows that, so shouldn't be too much.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. I didn't tell Punch, but I put his number up a couple of bathrooms I was at the other day, but I just I didn't know if that's what he wanted me to do or if that just was.
Was that not a thing?
I thought that was it, man. I thought he wanted it published, out in the public or something. But,
Get a tattoo and put it on the back of your neck or something. Well, brother, it's really good to see you, man. Thanks for taking time to be with us on Remcast tonight. I'm pretty excited about interviewing you. Yeah. I mean, you are my chapter president, and man, I got mad love for you. Much good, respect. Yeah. I would say, man, what I want to start off with, tell me how you got started with this club. I mean, how long you been with the club now?
I've been with, I started hanging around in 2012, in the fall of 2012.
Okay.
And what happened was, and
you were in Virginia, right?
I was in Virginia, and I'm going to throw out some names that most of the club probably won't know who they are, but I started riding probably about a year before that, and a lot of people in our small group had motorcycles, so we used to do a lot of riding after church on Sunday. So we actually went to a poker run that they were having. It was a church that had bought an abandoned motel, and they were turning it into a step-up housing for homeless men. And part of the poker run, the chapter there in Virginia Beach was actually helping run the motorcycle part of the run, the poker run. So I met Hillbilly was the president then, and
Hillbilly.
Yeah, Hillbilly. He's walking the streets of gold right now, but
that's right.
He was around for a while, and he was old school, dude. Anybody that knows him, knows he was old school, and he invited me to the Bible studies that they were having every week. And I started going to those, kind of hanging out, and ended up Vision of 2013 in January. Ended up getting my rockers, and it got patched the last rodeo we had in Wilson. In honor of that patching, they decided to have like steady monsoons that weekend, and so that was, I remember the fact that I ended up throwing every piece of clothing away I had because it was soaked and muddy. And but that's I've been with the club since 13. So, and then soon after that, I actually ended up down in Florida about the same time frame. And God had kind of put a call on for me to come down to Florida and open up some doors and opportunities there.
So you ended up coming down specifically, if I remember correctly, to help with the church, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. My nephew, they had just started a church, and we're in the process of starting a new, kind of a new I don't know what do you call it?
Church.
The same church, just a different spot. Yeah, 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 church. Yeah, but no, it was a new, different place, same church, and I just kind of felt to be part of that. And then um, in the process of coming down, um, I came down. It was just me at that point. I was it, and then um, Chex, who was a national essay at that time, he was kind of splitting some time between Florida and Pittsburgh, and so kind of ended up mentoring underneath him, and um, yeah, just God opened some doors and busted them wide open
Mm.
actually, and then haven't really looked back since as far as that's concerned. So,
Yeah, we hit on that a little bit last night in my interview with Clay Moore
yeah,
about how Chex just kind of man just took his time, trained
mhm.
you, introduced you around. I mean, put the
Yeah,
real
yeah,
deal kind of stuff on, and how that's kind of paid off uh, through the years. Even though it seemed like for a long time like you weren't making any headway, right? I mean, uh,
yeah. It was frustrating, man. I mean, all those guys that are out there that are outposts, kind of by himself. I would just say that I mean, it could be draining, it could be depressing and frustrating, and but you have to kind of remember that you're not there. God called you there. You're there at His calling and His timing, and as with pretty much most anything in our life, we want it to happen yesterday, and it took
right.
a while. But in the process, even though it was me, God opened some opportunities and doors for us to develop some relationships, very close relationships with some of the clubs that were here in Florida, and that wouldn't have happened without him allowing that to happen. But and those relationships they exist today, and in fact, I've got a handful of guys out of some of the clubs that we've developed relationships with that have or actually been plugged into our church and coming to our church regularly. So
That's good
you
stuff right
know,
there, man. That
yeah,
is
man.
good stuff.
It is, man. It's kind of funny because I think we had this conversation before, but God's doing some good stuff when I miss a church service and the guy that just came out of a 1% club is calling me up wanting to know, why weren't you in church, man? So yeah, I mean, it just kind of goes to show you just what kind of sense of humor God's got. So, you know,
Yeah, man, I remember because I've been back in Florida now for since August of 14.
mhm.
And it was that time I just kind of, man, I was way far away from everything and just felt a little burnt out, so far away. And man, it was you and Rip that was up there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and,
Yeah, Rip was my first guy, man. Yeah, he probably it was kind of funny. He started prospecting like 6 months or so after I got down here, and he was yeah we spent a lot of time knocking on some doors and opening some relationships, and he ended up moving up to Carolina and stepped away. He just had a lot of stuff. He made some job upward movement in the
yeah,
he was a funeral manager, director kind of thing, and then which I would call him RIP, RIP. So, but then he kind of moved up his you know tier, and when he moved up, he kind of took on more of a global kind of management of like multiple states, and he just couldn't keep up with staying in the club and the requirements and stuff. So,
right.
but yeah, Rip was. Been through a couple of them, man. I don't know. Maybe I just need to change a deodorant. I don't know, man. So
I don't know, brother. I would tell you this, man. The cool thing about watching this, at least for, I mean, it was just a couple of years, man. I wasn't able to do anything. Year and a half,
yeah,
almost 2 years now, and I felt like I missed it. I missed the interaction. I missed everything. But I was just, new pastor, new place, and kind of
yeah,
getting things back into the groove, and I just felt so far away. Even now, I mean, we're only a
yeah,
couple hours
yeah,
away, but it just still
yeah,
feels like
yeah,
it's down here, right? And but I will tell you this, bro. The reputation that you have across the club is good. And so when I started to come back, I remember me calling you and ask you what you thought, because I just didn't want to
yeah,
assume
yeah,
anything. And
Sure.
our conversation was, man, it'd be a pleasure. And man, we ran it up the flagpole and all that kind of stuff. But it was a hard and man, coming back in, I think, and serving under you and now being a chaplain, it's still not too easy because we're so spread out. Uh, but
Sure. Yeah.
but man, I couldn't think of a better way back in, or a better way to kind of readjust and reconnect with people than with you, man. I appreciate your leadership,
Yeah.
appreciate your
Yeah.
friendship and brotherhood
Oh yeah,
most of
man.
all.
Yeah.
It's been really cool to kind of watch how things have changed, and how the church thing just flips me out about one percenters and going to church and
Yeah.
calling
It's
you
kind
out
of,
on that.
it's, yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
cool
It's a
stuff.
little, you just kind of shake your head and just kind of like, because, if the, I know, I should always tell people that, if God were to really open the door and let you really see in and see what exactly he's doing,
Mm,
your mind would just like explode or melt right there. But every now and then he kind of cracks it open just a little bit and lets you see a little bit of the fruit. Because
yeah,
it's kind of like hey, look, I got this. You just keep loving on people and you just keep being real,
right.
and they'll see me and what you're doing in your life. And out of it, this is what happens. And so it just kind of, yeah, man, it just, I still scratch my head when I sit down next to some of these guys at church and just like, this just, yeah, okay.
I
So,
get this picture. I think it was in First or Second Kings, where it's with Elisha, and Elisha's attendant goes outside first thing in the morning. I think he's about to take a leak or something, and he looks up and he sees the Syrian army has surrounded Elisha's place, right? And
uh,
man, he's freaked out, and he goes back in, tells the man, "Hey, man, we are in trouble. We got big issues." Takes his brother back outside and asks the Lord to open up his eyes so he can see, and the myriad of angels and angel chariots surrounding, like, yeah, we ain't got nothing to worry about. I think sometimes if we could see it, number one, scare us a little bit. Number two,
oh
encourage
yeah,
us
yeah,
and give
oh
us
yeah.
that faith to stick it out and hang in there.
Hmm.
So, man,
Oh, definitely, man.
tell me,
Yeah,
what are you learning these days, man? What's God doing in your life right now?
man. That 20 was a lot. And I'm not going to take credit for being the hard year. I mean, it was hard for everybody, man.
Right.
2020 was, but I lost my old man in March. He actually died from corona. I know we've had some other brothers in the club that have lost some family members and stuff. It was kind of early in the whole kind of process of things, and it was hard, man. I mean, it was you know, I was here in Florida. He got sick. He actually got sick for a different reason, and they fixed it. He had like a stomach ulcer that was bleeding, so they fixed it. And you know, 36 hours later, he's in the intensive care unit and then on the ventilator. And he's on the ventilator for 4 days, and I couldn't be with him because of the restrictions. So I just stayed in Florida and communicated with the doctor. And ultimately, I drove up about, I think it was on a Thursday. He was went to the hospital on that Saturday before, and withdrew him from support, made him comfortable, and he knew where he was going. He'd always expressed that he would come down and visit about 5 times a year after my mom died, and you know, um, you can have those conversations when you have hope of eternity,
Mm.
and say, look, I don't want anything done. Just, I know where I'm going. If this gets really, things get bad, this is what I want you to do. So it's hard, man. I mean, we had 9 people at his funeral in March. Half of them were wearing masks, and then we ended up having to wait for a memorial until September, and then we couldn't even have the memorial like we wanted, so we could have like immediate family members. The church videotaped it and put it on YouTube for everybody to see, which but um, you know, it wasn't the way I wanted to send them off, but I have to recognize that God is sovereign, and that's what the plan was. So, but coming out of that, um, with all the restrictions, um, with church, with that, um, the loss, you know, if you didn't come out of 2020 with an understanding of what really truly matters in your life and what really truly doesn't, I think you missed the boat.
Mm,
Because most of the stuff that we couldn't do, if most of us were honest, it was probably stuff we didn't really need to bother with anyway because we didn't miss it. It didn't hurt us. We weren't, you know, impacted by not being able to do, so I kind of came out with like, hey, 2021 is going to be streamlined. There's a lot of stuff that we realized we didn't need. Um, physical needs,
right.
financial needs, and then kind of coming into 2021, got to really I don't make resolutions because I don't keep them, so I don't make them. So,
Right.
but going into the year, this year, I just wanted to be present in things, and we've talked several times about that. That word, that was my word for the year, is to be present in what's happening around me, and to seek to be in His presence. That quiet place where you just exist to sit at the foot of Christ. And, that's what I'm still trying to do. Seems like the harder I try, the more chaotic sometimes things get. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at as far as this year is concerned. I've enjoyed having a chance to plug into some of the Bible studies on Tuesday, which is kind of cool. Um, if you're watching this and you're in the club, you need to plug in, man, because you can. It's a great way to be able to just kind of hang out with your brothers, even though you're not right next to them. You can
Mm,
talk to them, joke with them, and we have a good time on Tuesdays when you're plugging in, and it's good word. Um, and it just reminds you of the brotherhood that's there, even though you're not physically able to be with everybody.
right.
Um, we have a lot of conversation. We have a Bible study in the chapter that on YouVersion that we're doing, and there's been some really good stuff, man. I mean, some really kind of hit you between the eyes, kind of ball peen hammer, kind of say, "Hey, man, wow, okay, all right." So yeah, I think but I would say coming out of last year and this year, even with the loss, just understanding um, what really should be the priorities and where they should be, and just kind of seeking that quiet place with the presence of Christ.
Right.
So
I know that wasn't the only thing, man. Like you got a new job.
yeah, dude, man, it was crazy. Got a new job. Um, we moved. The opportunity came, and we've been praying for some land, and that came. So we're out in the country now. We got chickens and
Fell
ducks and
fell off your
eggs. And
motorcycle in September.
yeah, man, you guys set me up on that, man. But yeah,
That was
and
messed up, bro.
boy, dude,
That was a hard
you know,
flipping driveway, man. I don't want to do that again.
that's why I like Florida. See, and
Flat
all
ground,
those
baby.
guys in the mountains, they're gonna like, oh man, you Florida boys don't know what it's like, So I like Florida because it's flat.
That's right.
I
That's
can
right.
look, I can look west, and I can see if it's raining in Tampa or not. But when you have to come up 45 to 50 degrees in the dark and then make a turn and go up an even steeper angle on a driveway, and then you go to put your foot down,
Ain't
and then
nothing
as
there.
the realization hits you that there ain't nothing there under your
Ain't
foot,
nothing there, bro.
and then you
That
just
thing
roll.
threw you off
Ah,
like a old
yeah,
man at the deli throwing a sandwich
yeah,
away. I mean, that thing just
yeah,
popped you off. Yeah.
yeah, man.
So,
Yeah, rolling down the hill, just kind of
oh,
wondering, man, I
jeez.
wonder how far I'm going to roll before I
That's right.
stop. So
That's right. That was a crazy night, man. But listen,
it was.
I know that a lot of people deal with a lot of things, and
Yeah.
you're right. Last year was not uh, perfect for most of us, but also
No.
know that if you have a desire to grow in your faith, and you
Mm.
ask the Lord to help you grow in your faith, to become more centered, to become more trusting,
Hmm.
he doesn't not answer that. Like he answers those prayers.
Oh yeah.
You and
Yeah.
I had a conversation about this whole idea of being present and how difficult that is.
It
Because in
is.
order to be
It's
present,
very
you
hard.
got to realize that you're scattered. right?
Yeah.
You have to realize
Yeah.
that. And until we realize that we have our minds and our fingers in so many different things and our thoughts in so many different places, that to kind of calm down and bring that almost that meditative thought to where it's all right there, it just takes some work and it
Mm-hmm.
takes a little bit of time. But in the end, after we get past that, I think there's joy there, and there's fullness of hope, and there's a solid ground that when you do put your foot down, there's something there. Uh,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so I know the
Yeah, it is,
conversations
man.
that you and I have said about that have been very genuinely like, holy crap, man! I pray for presents. Maybe I was talking about Christmas presents and didn't realize it. Maybe that was what I
Oh
needed.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I was the last conversation, I was hitting you up because got to take a step back from the ledge, you kind of so it's one of those days where it just seemed like everything was going wrong.
Mm,
And so as hard as you tried to try and seek that quiet spot, man, it just seemed like, man,
yeah.
sometimes, in fact, um, we're doing acts in our small group, and in fact, we just had the verse. I think it was this morning in our YouTube Bible study where it was right after Peter and John had been taken before the council for preaching the good news in the temple. And they kind of got the hand slapped, scolded, don't do this again, the threats. Um, it wasn't really persecution really hadn't started real bad at that point, but it was getting there.
Right.
And so they go back after they get released, and they go back to the house that they're staying at. And then the group of them, they prayed. And the thing that always just kind of, the more when I read it, and it just reminds me of sometimes we miss the boat when we're praying, and that their prayer was an earnest prayer, and it wasn't, oh God, please take this away, I can't handle it, oh God, this is too hard for me, remove the trial so my life can be easy.
Mm,
It was, God, give us the courage and the boldness and the strength that while we're being persecuted, let us continue to spread the gospel of the word.
mm,
And so, so often, I think we try to, we forget sometimes those storms, like we talked, man, we talked about just, a little squall coming along, and you just have to kind of um, stand in it, lean in it, recognize that it's there, and then once it passes, maybe God's taking you to that place where when you finally get to that quiet moment, that it's just going to be that much sweeter
mm.
and that much more um, joyful, and so. But yeah, I think sometimes we miss the boat on that.
That's a good word, man, because I think one of the things that non-Christians hear us say is that it's almost like we deny that the squall is there. Like, I got
Yeah.
this. There's no big deal. It's just me. I mean, it's no problem. But then when the squall lasts a little bit longer, when the band's a little bit wider than we thought it was, the squall line ain't moving as quickly
Hmm.
as we thought it would, rather
Hmm.
than just embracing it, knowing that, all right, I'm finna get wet. And not only am I going to get wet, but I'm going to get drenched. And it
Yeah.
is likely that somewhere around me, lightning is going to be popping, and this is not going to be fun. And we need to be okay with acknowledging that, because I think in the
Hmm.
midst of pain, the thing that we do as Christians most is that we make light of it in a way that is not any different than what anybody else deals with it. And I think through crisis and
Right.
hard time, that's how you determine what makes us distinct as a people. Not when the good
Hmm.
times. Holy crap, everybody.
No.
But we get rained
Yeah.
on like everybody else. We
Right.
suffer through the housing market crash like everybody else. We have
Yep.
surgery and cancer and grief like everybody
Sure.
else. But the only way
Yeah.
that people know that we are like bona fide trusting
Hmm.
Christ is how we deal with that, which means in many
Right.
cases to say, man, this is not comfortable, but I'm going to keep my head down and I'm going to keep on riding. I'm going to keep my head
Right.
down and I'm going to keep
Yep.
on swinging,
Yeah.
keep fighting, because I know in the end that, number one, he's with me. Number two, this is not
Hmm.
the end, and that
Right.
everybody faces this, and I want to honor and glorify God in that. And even though it's
Yeah.
been difficult with some of the issues that you and I have talked about over this last year with the loss of your father, moving and new job and all that kind of
Sure.
stuff, family issues that we all
Yeah.
face, is that we
Yeah.
acknowledge that and encourage one another. It's almost like we're not necessarily circling the wagons, but being back to back, looking out for one another and reminding each
Right.
other, hey, we're all going to feel that. Let's just suck it up and just stand tall
Sure.
and take what
Yeah.
comes, because it ain't going to last as long as we think it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm.
And the cool thing is, everybody's been through different stuff in their life,
Sure.
and you know, I know that I have I got brothers all over the country, but I got a handful of guys, and guys here in Florida. And there's a few outside of Florida that, um, if I pick the phone up and I call them, I know that, um, if they've been through something, kind of what I'm going through, they're going to have a good word and
Mm.
encouragement, and so that you have um, solid people in your life that you can pick the phone up and call, even if you don't talk regularly, and that's what I think is really cool about you know um, the brotherhood that we have and within the club. Um, and obviously we're closer to some because we're kind of
Sure.
talk with some more than
Sure.
others. I mean, Christ had 12, but he was real close with the three. So, but I think it's really it's great that you have that is a resource at your hand, that you're not alone.
It's true.
I mean, you can feel like it. I mean, shoot, when I was going through some, relational stuff way back, I would sit in the church with 1,300 people and feel like I was the only person there, man.
Yeah.
So but you're not alone. You got
Amen.
you got people, brothers, that are there, and and in particular, man, we got some guys taking a beating right now, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and um, but I'll be the first one to say, man. I got a spot. You need a place to come thaw out. Come on down, man. No questions, no judgment, just some love and some good food.
That's right. That's right.
And people in the club, we need to make sure that we check on the folks that are kind of going through problems and having issues, and you know, um, and pray earnestly.
That's true, man.
And
Because the truth is, man, brotherhood is a cool word and everything, but it don't mean Duke if we're not concerned about other people. And
yes,
that's the hard thing, because we're spread out as a club, and the whole point of having a chapter is that we make small the big things. And what I mean by that is
yes,
that
yeah,
we're able to connect when we're going through some issues. And the truth is, man, we got to give each other some slack and let us go through some things. But when you realize, you know what, that brother's kind of dealing with some things. I'm gonna step into this. I'm gonna roll into this, and uh, and
hmm,
and we can do that from across the country as we develop good relationships. And I
right.
love the fact that we got some guys in our club that just make it their business to check on folks. I love that.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah,
So, man,
yeah, which is great, man. Yeah.
that's encouraging stuff, man. I think that's the thing about brotherhood that we all love. But let's talk about some memory stuff. So, tell me about some memories that
I
you
mean,
have at some events that you've been at.
some memories of stuff of uh, well, well, let's see. I remember when Vision was at that seedy hotel we used to have at that. The brothers going now is like the Taj Mahal, man. So I don't know. There's still some old school guys around, but man, that was a little scary just to walk down the back hallway going to your room, man. You thought,
That's
man, you
when
get kind of thumped
want
or
to say
something,
that's when I first met you, man. Was because you were getting
It
ready
could
to
be.
move. You were getting ready to move down, and we hung out a little bit after one of the meetings, and that was
Oh
the
yeah,
place where the
yeah,
ceiling was about 7 foot tall,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
In that
yeah,
meeting
yeah.
room that we were in, I remember that.
So I remember that, and then when I got the weekend I got that was my first rodeo, and it was at Wilson, North Carolina.
Mm.
Okay, it was back in the fairgrounds of Wilson, North Carolina. So, um, and it was memorable because there was like a nor'easter that had set up right off the coast of North Carolina and Virginia, and it was like every 15 minutes it'd be another squall that would just kind of come through, and it was rain. It was raining upside down. I mean, you couldn't get dry. It was kind of, and then, everybody kept talking about the tractor pull, man. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. The tractor pull. So I went to my first tractor pull, and I think the winning pull was like maybe 8 inches because the track was so wet
Well, that
that
was all
they
clay.
couldn't.
That track is all
It
red
was, man.
clay,
Yeah, it
man.
was
You couldn't
clay.
you couldn't get a
Nah,
shovel
yeah.
full of that crap, man. It'd break the shovel.
So I kind of came away, kind of going, "Wow, is this it?" Yeah.
That's not what I thought it was going to be.
And then I had kind of a different picture of what this is going to be. So, and then on my way home, I stopped at like a Flying J or something, and I literally threw out every article of clothing I had because it was so muddy and so wet. So
Yeah.
that was like my first rodeo experience. But I remember, we've had some guys come and go. I remember some, when I was around, there was some, old school names. Hillbilly was around.
That was a country son of a gun right there, bro.
Yeah, man. He was my patch. He was my sponsor. So he was a cool dude, man.
Yeah, I loved him.
If you, yeah, there was a handful of guys when I first started that had been part of, when you think of like motorcycle club or being part of the motorcycle community,
Right.
where guys would just like pack a bag, get on the bike, and they'd be gone for like 4 6 weeks at a time, just riding.
Mm.
Nowhere to go, no agenda, no plan. They would just ride. And so some of those guys were like that. And so I learned a lot from the hillbilly and for some of these other guys that were, affiliated with other clubs, um, and learning what it meant to be in an MC and appropriate protocol. And so that really stuck with me. And then checks, when I came to Florida, being a mentor. And yeah, the funny story about Florida was
I told Claymore last night, I said, that brother rides you like a mule.
so we got together in October, and that first 13, and we went up to Biketoberfest, and we were up there hanging out, and he introduced me to some pretty heavy hitters that he had dealt with and that we had some relationships with, and and me, I just got patched, man. I didn't come out of a motorcycle club or in the other than riding motorcycles, so that was all kind of new to me, man.
Right,
And
right.
so then we tried to reach out to one of the dominants down here, and so we finally kind of I finally got a hold of somebody, and so I called Checks and I said, "Hey, man, they're having a Christmas party." The guy said, "Why don't you come on? We'll sit down. We'll do some talking, and let's see if we kind of work something out, and develop some relationship, little brotherhood kind of shared." And so I called Checks. He said, "That's great, man. Yeah, that's great. So when is it? Okay, all right. I gave him a date, a time, and everything." He goes, "Okay, well, look, man, I'm in Pittsburgh, so just do me a favor. When you go, text me, and then when you get home, text me. So if something happens to you, I know I got to send somebody to find your bones." And so I'm like on the phone going, "What? Did I just hear him say that? What?
What do you mean if something happens?"
What do you mean if something happens to me?"
That's
So
cool
I
stuff,
go
man.
to,
I got to be honest with you, because when I started, when I got patched in, because things were just starting off where I was living in PA at the time, and there was no chapters around me. Closest was Pittsburgh, baby, and that was 3 hours from where I was at. So I didn't have a chapter. The only guys I rode with was the guys that lived in Pittsburgh, and I have to go from event to event just to be able to ride with somebody. Of course, I rode all the time, but there was. You were my first, like this is the first chapter I've been in, and I've been in since the beginning.
Yeah.
So there was no local guys. There was nobody. It was just me. And if I wanted to hang out with these guys, I had to ride 3 hours to go to Pittsburgh, which was fine. It's no big deal. I mean, we rode hard, but I kind of missed that early on. Some of that stuff that Checks, and that's what I love about Checks, man. He he bought the for real deal, right? When
He
we
did.
needed
Oh
it,
yeah.
when we were
Yeah.
growing,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
he helped set us up on some solid ground. Obviously, the Lord was in that
Yeah.
move, and with
Sure.
Eclipse kind of continuing that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
You
tell you
know,
a
and then
memory. I tell you a memory I have, bro, is when we went to Johnstown when you and Rip rode to Johnstown, and I'm in a tent next to yours, and I woke up about midnight thinking there was a freaking bear getting ready to run through my tent and rip us all apart. And I could stand outside just to kind of try to hear what was going on. And I think you and Rip was both sawing them logs, man. I mean, serious.
Hey man, we're just you're gonna sleep. You might as well sleep good, man. You know, so yeah. I think I've since got that fixed, but I'm not 100% certain. But
Yeah,
I don't.
it's
My
overrated.
wife says I don't snore anymore, but so
Yeah,
yeah, it was that was fun. I remember, yeah, Johnstown, yeah. So yeah, man, some good memories, man. You know, and then Chillicothe, the rodeos,
yeah,
and yeah,
that's good stuff, man.
yeah, a
So
lot of guys, yeah.
let me ask you this, man. If let's just say, just to say,
Yeah.
you got a guy that's just been appointed or made chapter president, and he's looking for some information, looking for some encouragement, looking for some challenge for,
Yeah.
and he calls you. Hey,
Okay.
Wes, I'm just, man, I'm president now. I just need a little, tell me something. What are you going to tell this guy?
Wow. What am I gonna tell this guy? Well, I think you have to. It's kind of it's a balance in, um, you know, the guys we're dealing with, the guys that are in the club. You know, these are real dudes. Some of them come from some 1% background. Some of them don't, but they're men. You know, so first thing you need to do is you can't like treat them like kids because so you're not the dad, you're the president.
Hmm.
So you have to kind of balance the two aspects of being in a Christian club. First of all, recognizing that the most important thing in any of the men God puts into your path to be part of the chapter as the president is their walk with Christ. And that's really important because that needs to be emphasized because that's what sets us apart. You know, in a secular club, it's all about the club. You know, there's nothing else. The club is it, and so and how we look at things. You have the Christian, the walk, obviously, which in turn the according to the Bible, you have your family and mentoring them, making sure you lead them like you're supposed to,
Hmm.
and then obviously the club coming along with that. But in the same sense, it is a club, so you have to kind of balance that with the fact that the thing that people look at from the outside is do you manage and behave like somebody who is in a club, and there are protocols and things you do and things you don't do, and you know um, you need to make sure that you guys are well trained, and then you know um, stay in touch with them, pray for them. If you're kind of stretched out like us, you do the best you can as far as trying to keep up with one another, phone calls and Bible studies and stuff. But it's yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if I got really like one word. I would just say that you just need to be part of your men's life. You need to make sure you're involved.
Hmm.
Um, and part of leading is serving. Christ was that example, and so um, even though you're the president, you need to make sure you're serving your men in your chapter, making sure um, you know their walk is what it should be. Their issues, you're trying to address them and talk about them, and then encourage everybody to be really praying for one another. We need as a chapter, as a club, but you're closest to the men in your chapter, and you really need to cover them daily.
Right.
So yeah, that's probably it's kind of a long answer, but That's probably what I would share with them.
Okay, I think that's
So
a good
yeah,
that's a good perspective, man. Because here's what I'm learning is that we all have, and I think we know this, but we all have different gifts and different things that we think
sure,
we
yeah,
bring to the table, especially when
mm,
it comes to dealing with men. Um, and the truth is, we're anywhere from acting like a kid to an old man, depending on what kind of mood
mm,
we in, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
I'm finding I'm getting older, and my moods kind of waver from day to day. But the cool thing is that I got a couple guys I know that are down here, and I know that Punch is an outpost captain across the state. But I mean, I kind of
yeah,
consider him a part of our gig since we stay in touch and
yeah,
those kind of things.
yeah,
I'm gonna be interviewing him here in a couple of days. Um, but the truth is, we have such a wide variety of people that makes what we do so attractive because not everybody is the same.
right,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
oh yeah,
There's the staunch, hit it hard leader who's out front, knuckle busting, all that kind of stuff. Then there's
mm-hmm,
the leader who is side by side. There's the leader who is behind that's kind of pushing. There's the leader that's in front that's kind of pulling along. And we have all those. And the great thing about them is that there's no one particular way, but passions are different and
sure,
strengths are different. Uh,
mm-hmm,
so I like the fact that from chapter to chapter things are so different, but we have to be the same, different
right,
but the same, and I like that.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
man, what would you say? What would you say would be the warning, if there's a warning that you would give to a chapter president or somebody that's emerging as a leader that has potential, obviously with different things. We've been talking about this with Eclipse the other night about the emerging leaders we have that
Yeah.
have a good reputation. What would you warn some of these up and coming guys? How would you issue a warning to them?
Well, I would say that the as you move into roles of leadership, obviously titles and power can certainly corrupt your mind, and we're constantly is the men constantly fighting our pride,
Hmm,
because it's like probably one of the biggest things that gets in the way as far as our walk with Christ. And
right.
so I would say, if your focus is more about me than it is about them, then I think you got it backwards.
Good
So
point.
I would say that if you're moving into a role of leadership, you know, um, God gave us a great role in the scriptures, and that's his son, who led very well of the men that he had. Um, but he led by serving. And so I think you need to really have an outward focus and not an inward focus. And
Okay.
if the focus starts to turn back to yourself, then you need to kind of get it realigned, and uh, you need to look at your focus and get it fixed. Because I think when you start looking inward, um, that's when things are going to go wrong.
Right. Man, I agree with that totally, man. Pride is uh, a deceptive thing because when we don't think we
Yeah.
have it, that's usually when it sneaks up on us, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Yeah. You're
uh,
lying to yourself if you say you don't, man. You
absolutely, absolutely. And the thing that we think is because it's a Christian organization, man. I ain't got no pride, but just as soon as we get to a point to where things are going our way and things are moving in a certain way, man, the Lord has a way to snatch your feet out from under you and remind you, hey, I'm the focus
Oh yeah.
here. Be careful,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we say this all the time, man. We can't. This is one place to where you just can't hide for very long.
Yeah.
You might get away
Oh sure.
with some
Yeah.
things, and what I mean by that is that you may be able to sneak back and just kind of get away with some things, hide some things for a little while. But because there's so many different people praying and asking God to do amazing things here, the Spirit
Hmm.
doesn't let us get away with that crap for very long.
No.
And I've seen it
No.
happen over the last 10 years, man. It's been really cool because, as you said, we've seen people come and go. There's people that
Yeah.
snuck in that we thought was this, but end up being that, and they move on. There's people that came in trying to get away from this, but embrace this. They moved on.
Mhm.
We've had people that have come in under the guise of saying the Lord led me here, and then they say they're not really comfortable with things, and so the Lord leads them away. And whatever. This ain't everybody's gig, right?
Right.
But you
Yeah.
have to be ready to embrace the fact that there's stuff that goes on in the midst of this club that the Lord's protected us for 10 years now and
Oh yeah.
kept us from a lot of things. But we've also
Mhm.
experienced a lot of things to help us learn what to look out for. And I
Right.
think that's a big deal. Um, I remember early on when some things happened, like the first few vision meetings we had, I think 2 or 3 was at this old school church, man. And we would meet upstairs all day on Friday and all day on Saturday, and then
Mhm.
be at the hotel that night. And then um, Les's wife and family would make egg salad sandwiches for us to eat for lunch and different things. They would bring food in. So it was like old school.
Yeah.
Every two
Yeah.
minutes, like we're all outside taking a smoke break and all that kind of stuff. And it was just the emergence of this really cool vibe that
Yeah.
helped us realize, man, this is not everybody gets to be a part of something like this. And now we're 10 years
Right.
in, and if we're not careful, um, we can kind of go, yeah, we got this figured out. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, because things change so quickly. People change so quickly that we just need to be aware of those things. So I like the fact that your focus there on the warning is to be careful what you allow yourself to believe about yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
We
man.
can't because we can't believe our own hype, right?
Heck no. No. You're buying into yourself, then you wasted your money, man.
That's right.
So,
That's a good point. That's a good point. So, man, what would you say? Okay, so we've asked. Okay, so this is my first president's gig. What would you say? You answered that. You gave us a warning. What would be some of
yeah.
the things that you would ask, that you would tell this person, this new guy, this new president, this new leader? What would you ask him to look out to enjoy? What's some things that you've
To enjoy.
enjoyed? Yeah. What have you taken joy in over the last number of years?
I would just say the just the whole process. I mean,
Say that
it's
one more
got its
time, man.
peak.
You kind of froze up.
Oh, sorry about that. How about that, man? I would say probably just the whole process. The it's going to have peaks. It's going to have valleys. I mean,
Mm,
you're going to be days when you're like, man, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I think I just ought to like hang it up, turn it in, and just see what. And then you're going to be on the top of the mountain and feel like you're Superman, and then like you said, man, God's going to come along. The Spirit's going to be like, yeah, maybe you need to drop it down just a couple of notches. But in the end, as you look back, um, you can see the fruit and the things that God's done in the wake of you being part of the club, meaning that um, it's not us, obviously. Um, and I tell people this all the time. We're an MC, but our primary responsibility is the edict that Christ gave everybody, and that's to basically, make disciples, baptize. You're basically responsible for sharing the good news, the gospel, the hope that you have, and that motorcycle you have gives you the opportunity as a tool to share it with people in the community that you enjoy being part of. And as you go through the whole process and you look back, just like we talked tonight, man, I got guys that, some have unfortunately have passed away from illnesses that were part of my life early on that really formed a good set foundation, and other guys that did the same and poured into my life. As discipled me, they mentored me,
mm,
and being able to kind of pass that on to other guys in the club as you're kind of and see where the spirit takes that, and some of these guys are in leadership now. I mean, gosh, man, I remember, I remember when Eclipse was a prospect. You know, he was. I remember it was Rags and him, man. That was it.
It
That was
was.
Indiana.
It was, and he came. Man, his first gig was Fowlerville. That's where I met that big rascal. And I heard.
Yeah,
I'll never forget this,
and
man. I heard
but
that. I heard that accent, and I thought, man, I love this brother right here. Yeah.
but seeing how the process, seeing how the spirit has poured into these guys and
Mm,
where they are now in the club. Maybe some have left to go on, but they're still in you can see what they're doing for the kingdom.
right.
Um, you take the opportunity when God cracks the door for you to to see the fruit that He's doing um, by being real and being just living your life according to what the principles of our Christ had asked us to do. And so, yeah, man, it's cool, man. I mean, where else can you get a chance to like hang out with brothers, roughneck bunch of guys, smoke cigars, ride motorcycles. You got events to go to. And then in the process, you develop relationships with some of these other clubs where, people would kind of like, be like, what? You know who? What? You associate with who? What? And in the process of all of that, they in turn, because of the respect for our club and the respect for what they see and how we handle ourselves, recognizing, and they know, man, you don't have to tell them what you're about. They
That's right.
understand that.
That's right.
But they take and they extend the brotherhood that they would extend to their other brothers, and they give a kind of, they extend that brotherhood to us as a club because of who we are and how real we are, and the fact that we're willing to speak into their lives when we get the opportunity. And
That's
so,
right.
where else? What other kind of? I mean, where else can you go to do that, man?
That's true.
I mean, shoot,
That's
I mean,
true.
hey,
That's a good word, man. I think one of the things that we forget is that this is a lot of fun, man.
it is, man. You know,
It's I mean, yeah. I enjoy the memories. I enjoy the fellowship. I enjoy the people. And the cool thing is, it's right on the edge sometimes. I mean, there's not been very many
yeah,
trips that we've made to where I feel like somebody had cut me off, tried to kill me, run me off the road, flip me off, or
oh,
whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they just become part of the memory for the trip. Hard rain, no rain, slow rain,
yeah,
whatever. It's just part of.
yeah.
And Les is very fond of saying you cannot make memories unless you're with people.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
because if you're not making memories, you're not spending time with people. That's all there is to it.
exactly. Oh,
And
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
I
sitting
agree.
around the campfire talking about that time we were watching TV. You know what I mean? There ain't none of that. We're not sitting around the campfire with a fine Cuban cigar saying, "Yeah, I remember watching that TV show. I was by myself." Ain't nobody doing that. We might be making stuff up, but we ain't talking about
Oh, yeah,
watching
yeah,
TV. I mean, we're talking about being involved and doing cool
yeah,
things. And I look forward to a
yeah,
lot
man.
more of that.
Oh, yeah,
Brother, listen,
yeah,
man,
man.
I really, really appreciate you
Oh,
taking your
yeah.
time with me tonight, man.
Oh, hey,
I got mad.
anytime,
I got
anytime,
mad
brother.
respect for you. I love you, man, and I'm glad you're in my
Yeah,
life. I'm glad you're my president. I'll go
yeah.
ahead and claim you. If nobody else claim you, I'll claim you. You my president.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it.
And I didn't even vote for you.
Awesome. Love you,
Okay.
brother.
I love you too, man. Thanks for being with me, and we will talk
All
to
right,
you
man.
soon. Hey, Primal and Wes coming at you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on Remcast, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
Peace out, Remnant.